All right, man. My name's Breeze. This is the MMA Breeze Show. Today we got Nicky Rod, the Blackbelt Slayer. How's it going, man? Are you in Puerto Rico right now?
Yeah, I'm in Dorado, Puerto Rico right now, living large out here in the island, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. What do you miss about New York City? I know it's got to be a little bit of a culture shock going from the city to the island life.
Yeah, most definitely a little bit of a culture shock. I guess the what I miss most about New York is the time it takes to get stuff done. If you gotta get your car fixed, oil change, you gotta get your taxes done, or anything small like that. You can get it done in a day or so. Everything takes a week plus out here. Even the overnight shipping takes a week. So it's you definitely need some patience to live out here for sure.
I hear that. I hear that, man. So I know that you just came off a big win. You're still slaying black belts. He's the last guy you beat was a two-time ADCC champion, a two-time BJJF no gi world absolute champion, third degree black belt. What's next, man? You got anybody else on the radar? Anybody you're looking to compete against, or any
I
event?
think who's number one wants to be back. So probably in a couple months I'll hop on there. And Third Coast Grappling is in the talks as well. I don't have anything signed or anything like that, but I'd like to get matches with anybody that's won ADCC or IBJJF Black Belt Worlds. I like to have their accolades be my accolades. You know what I mean? So and just because I can't compete in IBJJF, I can't do the black belt stuff. 'Cause I'm still purple belt. But so it'd be nice to get some IBJJF black belts champs under my record, and then IBJJF guys as well. I'd like to go against like Buchecho or Felipe Pena. I know they're retired; they kind of do their own thing right now. I'm sure eventually they'll swing back around to the grappling world. But for now, I'm the draw. You know what I mean? People have to call me out. I'm the big name. I'm the guy that's getting the wins, and yeah, I'm sure I'll have a bunch of matches coming soon, man.
Awesome, awesome. So let me ask you this. I know you guys got the Donna Hair Death Squad. You're out in Puerto Rico now. How's the work like in the room day to day? Do you still have a lot of bodies, a lot of good training partners out there? Do people come out there and shuffle in with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have a few guys that come and train with us, but for the most part, it's just us. Like the DDS is, maybe have 15 guys or so that moved out here and are committed to training and becoming world champs. And going into quarantine, like when we were still living in New York, there was this big unknown factor of like, oh, can we still get better when it's just us training and there's no other blue belts or purple belts or because in Henzo's we have an influx of people like people who come from the UK, spend a month train with us, go back, all over the world, all over the country. They come to New York, train with DDS, and then fly back home. So we had that constantly different bodies and stuff, and the room was always filled with 50, 90, 100 people sometimes. Now, as soon as quarantine hit, all that stopped, and it was just like honestly, at the start, like first month, it was just like me, Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan, and like Ethan Krelestein. And it was like that for the first month or 2 months. And we still kept getting better. And slowly everybody, the main guys started coming back and ended up being 10, 15 of us. And dude, we saw the first 6 months of quarantine, we got tremendously better. Like the progress we were seeing was even more than it was previous because everything we did was specific to our needs. It's like you're sitting in class with John, that's great, but getting a private by John is even better. So every day we're getting privates by John, it's just like one-on-one. So that was an unknown factor kind of going into quarantine. And once we realized we can help each other to succeed, we don't need the other exterior bodies, then the Puerto Rico thing was kind of a fast and easy decision. We were like, as long as we're together, we can keep improving. So let's just take it to a better atmosphere and a different atmosphere. The quality of air, the quality of life out here is definitely upgraded. I was never built for the city. I did it because I had to, because that's what it took to get better. I mean, New York and the East Coast, New Jersey, it's about the grind. And I think we just take that East Coast grind mentality and we bring it to the tropics of Puerto Rico, and we keep hustling out here. The training is never stops, man. We train 7 days a week, twice a day, and we're constantly getting better. We not only do we have John Danner helping us out, but it's the the talking amongst the team, amongst the athletes. Like, you know, at any point I can ask Nicky Rod, you know, if I have issues, I can go up to Gary Tone and you know, if I have issues, they help me out. And it's cool because like training with these guys longer, you get to see what their strong points are. So like if you need help with leg locks, you need help with body lock passing, like you know who to ask and who's gonna help you out better.
Yeah, right on, man. Awesome. I know we've seen a lot of improvements in your matches, you know, with your body locks and your passing. What would you say over the last year or since the transition to with Sam to Puerto Rico? What would you say you've gotten better at the most, or what about your game has improved the most?
Man, honestly, I've been doing this same been working the same thing since I started jujitsu. I've been playing guard a lot, doing the leg locks, body lock passing, and the thing is with me, brother, like what I'm good at, I'm really good at. You know what I mean? Like in jujitsu, I have a few things I'm pretty decent at and I do well, but essentially, I'm still new to everything. So everything needs improvement. Everything I know I can be worked on. You know, so I try to take, you know, a week at a time, couple weeks at a time, work on moves specifically, and then move on. But always, I need improvement for every move. So, you know, I constantly work everything. Every day I pull guard. Every day I go body locks. Every day I go leg locks. You know, triangles. I do all this shit constantly. So it's an accumulation. And I think once I hit the not the final form, but you know, once I get where I want to be, it's going to be it's going to be very difficult to deal with because I don't have so many options. You know, I don't want to be the guy that can only take down or pass. I want to be the guy that can pull guard, come up from bottom, leg lock. I want to be able to mount a triangle people. I want to be able to sub guys from the back from the guard. You know, so I like how many options you have in jiu-jitsu, and I really strive to be proficient in all these options.
Yeah, we know you have a very unique style when it comes to grappling. You know, it's almost like the wrestler's blueprint for taking on jujitsu. I always talk about it. You heard me talking about it with Chael. What do you think about wrestling most prepared you for the submission grappling world?
Besides the body awareness, right? Like in wrestling, they teach you a little bit of like gymnastics in the sense like our warm-ups consists of, you know, forward rolls, backward rolls, front flips, back flips, cartwheels, back handsprings. Like they force you to be athletic. Not everybody can do these movements coming out the wound. It's a series of events. So I think wrestling really forces you to become athletic. And in addition to that, the work ethic, the work output that you're doing in the wrestling room is incomparable to other sports. Like very rarely do you find a group of people that use 100% of their energy in practice. Now that is because wrestling is more of a sprint. You know, it's much more of a sprint than jiu-jitsu is. But I think honestly, the work ethic and the mentality that you develop in a wrestling room can pretty much translate to life. You know, in most cases, the hardest worker in the room wins. Now, if you take that attitude, being the hardest worker, and then you take top tier coaching and top tier practice partners on top of that, then that's a recipe for success. So I think definitely the mental aspect of the wrestling benefits me greatly in the world of jiu-jitsu.
Awesome, man. And I'm talking about training partners and quality training partners. You train with arguably, or maybe people don't even argue it, the best grappler in the world with Gordon Ryan. What's it been like training with him over the years, and how has he impacted your growth and your career?
So I've been rolling with Gordon about 3 years now, and the growth is exponential, man. I mean, it's not like I always thought, like, you know, when I started grappling, I continue to surpass all these people because I thought that they were staying stagnant. You know what I mean? I thought like
Oh, I got might have lost you
for
there.
like Gordon, for instance, I figured, you know, the difference between him when I first met him 2 or 3 years ago and him now is completely different grappler. You know, it's tremendously better, and that just forces me and the whole team to game. You know, we all strive to have the success and the knowledge that he has. So even with him is great, man. I mean, it gives me perspective of like where I am and where I want to be. The only downside is that like is that like if you have moves that like don't work on Gordon, most of the time they work on everybody else. Like so you'll have some doubt sometimes. You're like fuck, am I doing this wrong? And you're really not doing it wrong. It's just like Gordon's a step above you. You know what I mean? He taught you the move, so he knows all the counters too. He knows when it's coming, what you're gonna do. So that's only I have to remind myself that like these guys that I'm competing against aren't Gordon, aren't nearly at the level that he's at. So I kind of have to eliminate those rounds from my mind and be like, okay, these guys are just regular grapplers, you know, because if it's normal jiu-jitsu, I can do that. What Gordon does is it's a different thing, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about that. You roll with a lot of different people and you've been in the game for a while now. Out of all the people you roll with, who's the most fun to roll with? Who gives you the most enjoyable? I know I see you and your cousin out there grappling. I believe it's your cousin, Jacob is his name. And
it's my little brother.
Oh, that's your brother. That's your brother. It seems like you
Yeah.
guys obviously have natural chemistry the way you guys roll back and forth. So who do you enjoy rolling with the most?
I think I enjoy rolling with Ethan Krellestein and Gary Tonin the most. I think they're a lot smaller than me, but the level of elusivity that they have, like it's just so hard to hold them down, you know? So one, obviously hard to get them down, but to hold them down is a whole different thing. We have really good chemistry when we roll, and on the side of Gary Tonin, right? Like he's a superior athlete in the sense that he can do the handstands, he can do the backflips and all that, you know, all that extra, you know, super athletic stuff. That he moves matches, I strive to move like that. Like every time you see him do the fancy like katagurumas or scissor takedowns, or he's rolling around, just grabbing nonstop. I see myself rolling like that eventually. You know what I mean? Like I'm athletic I'm as athletic as Gary, just on a bigger body, you know. So I feel like his style at the heavyweight division would do some serious damage.
No doubt. So one of your training partners is got a match coming up against Gabi Garcia with Craig Jones. What do you take about that match and the first ever, you know, intersex matchup?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch. Definitely, Gabby's got a size and probably a strength advantage. You know, Craig's a strong guy, but she's probably got 50 pounds of muscle on him. So we'll see, man. You know, I'd say if there was no leg locks, you know, maybe be a more interesting match. Actually, I don't know the rule sets. I don't know anything about it. I just know that Craig goes against Gary, and everybody's watching. The guy knows how to market himself for sure.
If you're a betting man, who do you put your money on?
I can't go against my teammate. I gotta take Craig for the win for sure. I don't know what the odds are because I bet you a lot of people see like, oh, like this girl's a 4-time ADCC champ and she's huge compared to him. I wonder, you know, the people that are actually going to bet on Gabi. This would be interesting.
Yeah, no, like you said,
and you can't be the Craig Jones memes. The Craig Jones memes are the best, man. The guys he knows how to put some quality stuff on the ground for sure.
Man, oh yeah, I started going down a rabbit hole watching his content the other day, man. It was just freaking me out. I could go down that hole forever, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, Gordon Ryan recently signed with ONE, you know, and he talked about MMA's on the table. I know after you beat Luke Rockhold in a grappling match, I saw in your interview, you had said, you know, you're not really interested in mixed martial arts. You're interested in grappling, and that's where your heart was. But, you know, with everything going on right now and the way Gordon's deal came to fruition, would you consider a deal like that? You know, if there's a lot of money in it, you know, and grappling is still in the picture, but would you consider something with MMA on the table?
Honestly, the only way I would fight MMA, it would have to be, I'd have to make close to 7 figures my first fight, just because the lifestyle that I live now is essentially stress-free. I mean, you can only get psych yourself out so much before a grappling match. You know, the worst thing that happens is, you know, you break a limb or something. It's not nearly comparable to getting your fucking lights put out in a fight, you know? And on top of that, you know, Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, they're in my weight class, you know? So it'd be The absolute wars. Yeah, in order for me to step in the cage, I have to make it. It has to be $1 million fight, you know, and for no experience, that'd be hard to do, you know.
Yeah.
So I always felt like I have too many options to fight. Like you have to be a dog. You have to become a different kind of human to step in the cage and say, "Listen, I'm ready to die in here, or in order to get this title." You know what I mean? And I have too many options. I feel like I'm too intuitive. I can figure out how to make the money that I want to make without getting punched in the face. And it's going well right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're still young. We're still figuring it out. But you know, the years to come are going to be fun. They're going to be full of hustle and hard work, man.
So that's another question I wanted to ask. You know, you've been grappling for a while now, full time. How did grappling become a full time thing from you? And was it like a combination of social media and other hustles, or are you kind of thriving solely off of grappling at the moment?
So, uh, uh, so I guess how it started, 12 or 13 years old, and absolutely fell in love with it. Anytime I wasn't wrestling in the off season when I'm working, every day I would think about wrestling and competition. Like it's the one thing that I'd wake up and think about it. I'd go to sleep and think about it. And I just knew I knew deep down some way my life was going to circle back to maybe a competitive lifestyle, you know. So I remember being in college. I went to college just to wrestle. You know, like I didn't give a fuck about the education. I never went to class. I just went to practice. You know, so after college, I started working a little bit, doing like some bouncing gigs and stuff. While I'm bouncing, a couple of the bouncers train jujitsu, and we're just talking about it. They invite me to practice, and I go to practice, and I just destroy everybody. I was like, this is easy. You know, there's a bunch of black belts there and stuff, and a couple people that won like normal competitions, and it was like I was like not breaking a sweat and absolutely destroying these guys. You know, I didn't know any submissions, but I just take them down and stay on top. They couldn't do anything to me. Now at that point, I had no idea that you could profit off of grappling. I didn't know it was like a substantial sport or anything like that. I didn't know who Gordon was. You know what I mean? So my coach Jay Regabudo was like, listen, you know, there's a career in grappling. Like this, essentially, he told me this guy Gordon's making millions of dollars, you know, just doing jujitsu. I was like, it blew my mind. So I just had no idea that you can make any money doing this. Because, I mean, to the masses, you have to pay to compete. I didn't know anybody got paid to compete, you know? So it was definitely a little bit of an eye opener. And then I did my first, like 2 weeks into grappling, into doing jiu-jitsu, I did like my first tournament and beat a couple of black belts and just destroyed everybody. I think I scored like 80 points to 0 in like the 5 matches that I had. And it was just overwhelmingly like, I hate to say easy, but it was pretty easy for me at first. Like, you know, first going against normal people. Like I'm a superior athlete, a big guy that can move fast. That alone will get you places. You know what I mean? And if you put some dedication on top of it, you know, it goes even further. I had this like the second I started training every day. There was no like I knew getting into it. Like I was like, if I go to this practice, I'm never gonna stop. You know what I mean? So I kind of had that in the back of my mind going into the first practice. And I took it for what it was, man. I just got lucky that I fell into the Henson Gracie team and got to meet DDS and John Danner and all that stuff. And yeah, it's working out well, man. I just I guess I just started. I started that one day bouncing, and it's just been hooked, man. It's been an interesting couple of years, you know, fast paced couple of years for sure.
Yeah, I bet. And when did the money start coming in? Was it the tournaments, or you know, I know you guys release a lot of instructionals as well. What's the biggest avenue for you to make money through jujitsu?
So you have to have the social media following. Like you look at a guy Yuri Smolis, for instance. He's 2-time ADCC champ, but he's got like 30,000 followers on Instagram, which is good. But for a 2-time ADCC champ, you should have a few 100,000. You know, if you market yourself the right way. Before I even started grappling, I had 30,000 followers on Instagram, which is not massive, but to a nobody, that's a big deal. You know, my high school, I graduated like 75 kids. I went to a college with like, you know, 1,000 kids in each grade. So I wasn't I wasn't exposed to a lot of people. So 30K for me, for nobody from a small town, was a big deal. Now I did that by I was chasing fitness modeling a little bit. I signed with Wilhelmina Models, did a bunch of photography, was posting on social media. And at the time, my goal was to get followers on social media. So posting every day for like a year prior before this jiu-jitsu stuff, and build up my following a little bit. So once I started the jiu-jitsu, people were interested already, because they're like, oh, this guy has a following, but he's nothing. You know what I mean? He hasn't won anything. Why is he popular? Mm-hmm. So it spiked people's curiosity already. And then once Flow Grappling got involved, and I started winning and stuff like that, it just started to blow up for me. But I honestly didn't make any money until I guess once I won the ADCC trials, I was able to create enough money to I could practice full time. I guess I was kind of relying on, my hustling skills and just making money where I could prior to ADCC trials. But once I won the trials on the West Coast, I was able to make money off sponsorships, make money off Instagram, post more frequently, and kind of really progress in my training, be able to make it up to Henzo's like 7 days a week. The problem was it cost me $100 to train at Henzo's every day. So every time I drive out to New York, it was a 6-hour round trip. In addition to that, it cost me $100. You got food, you got tolls, gas, train ticket, train parking, like shit adds up, and $100 to somebody that only has $100 is a lot of money. So once I won the trials, I was able to make some money. And then once I took second ADCC, had that really good run, I was able to really start profiting and start saving some cash, But up until then, man, I was fucking so poor. Like I remember before, like my first like decent check I got right after the ADCC trials was like $7,000. And like while it was like I was waiting for the check to clear, like I had like bills to pay and shit, and I literally had like $1.42 in my account, and it took like another like 4 days for the check to clear. I was fucking stressing, man. But that's the name of the game, man. You gotta risk it. Everything I had went to training, and because I felt like even if I failed, I still fucking tried my hardest. You know what I mean? Like I gave everything that I could give, and even if I did fail, I would continue to do it. So yeah, it's a risk, but you gotta give some to get some. So yeah, man, definitely. After I took second ADCC, I was able to turn a real profit and start truly considering myself a grappler and a successful grappler. It's been uphill from there ever since.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. I know we're getting closer and closer to the next ADCCs. I know it's in September, I believe. And what do you think is going to be the biggest difference from you at this performance compared to your last appearance at ADCCs?
Well, my last performance at ADCC, I was limited with options. I knew going into the heavyweight division, there's an obvious lack of technique. If you're looking at the lower weight classes, there's a huge lack of discrepancy in technique, and that's mainly because these guys rely on their size and their strength to win. And if you look at all the heavyweight matches, I mean, for the most part, it's a shitty wrestling match. Most of these guys have below average high school wrestling, and they're just big and strong, and whoever falls first loses. So I saw a huge gap in this tournament. I was like, listen, if I can go into this tournament, tell these guys I'm going to wrestle with them, and they're dumb enough to stand up with me, I mean, there's no way I can lose. So, I mean, if you look at the ADCC run, the only people that only got to deal with is Vartan's because he did jiu-jitsu with me. No, Ali stood with me and got thrown. Cyborg did try jiu-jitsu, but Cyborg's just not that good. You know what I mean? He's good for the heavyweights, but like he doesn't do good against other athletic guys. And then Orlando Sanchez, I just kind of got him tired and outworked him as well. But I knew going into ADCC that I'm just going to try my best to wrestle. And the only guard pass I had was like a knee cut and maybe a cartwheel pass. So this next ADCC, I have many more options. I'm going from literally only 2 or 3 moves as far as my passing sequences to an abundance of options on the top, on the bottom, I feel confident in pulling guard. I feel confident coming up from guard. Obviously, I can out wrestle everybody in my weight class, but I feel as if I'm getting good enough where the wrestling can be my backup. I can start with jujitsu and always have the phenomenal wrestling as the thing I can fall back on if needed. But I want to be good enough to where I don't need to wrestle to beat these guys. I can beat the jiu-jitsu guys with jiu-jitsu, and that's real success if you ask me.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So if you could finish submission off on one of these guys in the tournament, any submission you want, what would be the most gratifying submission to pull off?
I think the leg locks, man. The heel hooks are the most gratifying because it's a very, I feel like it's the smallest window in all of the submissions between a submission and a break. Like the line is so fragile. Like I've only attempted 2 heel hooks in competition, and I blew out both the guys' legs immediately. One guy was Marquez Rodriguez, and the other guy was Bruno Bastos. And like the legs go so fast, and like we do leg locks so often in practice that like to see that you can actually break somebody's leg in competition, it's truly gratifying. It makes you aware that like, dude, like I fucking know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, because it's you drill with your partners, you practice hard, but it's nothing like getting in there and like yanking on it and being like, oh shit, like this stuff really works. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know how it is. It's cool rolling with your guys, but that extra 10%, letting it loose in competition, the not caring if you hurt the guy, that goes a long way, and definitely boosts your psyche if you're able to get a good clean heel hook winning.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming on today. Good luck with ADCC and training, and hopefully we can have you back on soon.
For sure, man. I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. Peace.